Hello, my love. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the astrological trends of September 9th to September 15th. Now, before we do any type of recap or look ahead, I got a quick little reminder for everybody. I'm not running big specials in the month of September. I said this before, I'm saying it again. I am still taking bookings, but I'm also making sure I have a good amount of time that I can start working on the website. Like I said before, there's other things that I offer that's not necessarily listed in the description, and I want to make sure I've got really good things put together for the website whenever I start to offer those other programs more full time. If you are a new client, you do get special pricing for your first session. It is discounted, and that too is listed in the description of every single episode, as well as my contact information. You are emailing me directly, you are DMing me directly. There's not an extra person. And then whenever we do start to finally meet, we're going to do it one-on-one over Zoom. You'll see me just the way you're seeing me here on camera. And the whole idea is I want to make sure that it's going to be something that's going to be good for you. Okay. Speaking of Zooms, every week I host a spiritual Zoom on Wednesday nights. It's completely free. You have to have a Zoom account. Zoom accounts, the startup account is free. It's just making sure you're not a computer. But I host spiritual Zooms every single week, Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and they last about 3 to 4 hours. So there's no structure. People come in and out based off of when they're getting off work, different time zones, and everything else. It's just whenever you can hop on, and they're a lot of fun. You can see how one particular transit can manifest in a multitude of different ways based off of a multitude of different charts. If you're wanting to get additional spiritual advice from me, if you're wanting to just kind of loop me into what's gone on since your last session, good things to do in that regard. But it also gives you the chance to see the connection, the community, and the camaraderie that can start to be built when you have the right spiritual people around you. And if you want spiritual advice, you're getting unbiased advice because these people aren't going to be in your daily life. I'm not necessarily in your daily life, but you can still have that access and those connections. And that again is completely free. I post the Zoom link on Wednesday evenings on Facebook, but I also email it to people that have told me in the past they want me to email you the link. So I will do that. I just need to know if you're wanting me to do that. Okay. Moving on. Oh, I said last week we were going to be shifting our focus. And a lot of people, the reason we were shifting our focus is because as we got into parts of last week, we all had different waves of tired, exhaustion, frustration, emotions coming through. For some of us, that emotion was done. For some of that emotion was, I don't know what's wrong with me. And I saw mixtures of both. And there were reasons as to why. Everything through the first few weeks of September, which we are still in right now, is taking us back to the drawing board where we need to go redo something, rethink something, replan something. We have something from the past we have to go back to clear up, finish out, wrap up so we can go into something new. As we went through parts of last week and as we go through parts of this week, we will be in a mentality and a mindset of where we need to wrap something up while simultaneously focusing on something new. We are not in charge of something anymore. We're not the responsible party anymore. We can't be trusted by somebody. We can't trust them. Something has shifted. Roles, identity, shift, purpose, shift, focus, shift. And there's a multitude of reasons as to why, but they weren't big vibrational energies. No. Some were a vibrational carryover to what was going on in August and July, specifically August with that Mercury retrograde. And I said there would be waves of unexpected things and unexpected hits in the vibration. And a lot of that had to do with that final square between Mercury and Uranus. But there were the other elements that spoke to why we needed to shift into something new. Pluto went back into Capricorn September 1st. Uranus turned retrograde on September 1st. We had the new moon on September 2nd. Shift. And then middle of the week, Mars went into Cancer. Fourth shift. We are still in the midst of shifts this week. New focus, new ideas, new direction. while also still simultaneously closing out some things that have been recently stirred up. And some of where we go next is going to be directly pinpointed back to whatever got held up, whatever was going on those last little bits of July, the last week and a half of July, and that first week and a half of August. That's a little cherry spot right there that we haven't dealt with quite yet. But we're going back to it this week. Now, some of us, we had ideas right then. And I said at the beginning of August, if you got some grand idea, some big thing that you want to focus on, some big thing that you're going to start working on, you need to table that until we get into September. It's time to take it off the table. Some of you met with somebody right there at the end of July, and they said, yeah, I want to do business with you. I want to go on a date with you. I want to do this thing with you. I want to go in this direction with you. I want to try it. But then, the next week when it was supposed to happen, hey, I can't make it. Something happened, something changed, da, da, da. Mercury turned retrograde, but whatever. Yeah, something changed. And now we're rounding back to that. And some of you might be picking up again on something that you put on the back burner a month ago this week. But some of you might be picking up something else completely different, but it still ties back to then. You did something then, but then you didn't see immediate results. And now you're getting into an energy where you start to see the result. Because it's almost like you were doing something too soon. We were rushing into a situation. We were trying to be full steam ahead, but the thing is somewhere in the back, the extra weight made us run out of steam. And we needed to clear something. We had to make space. Things needed to come to light, and our awareness of something needed to change. Mixing old vibration into now. Now we're aware of new things. We're aware of more things, and we're having to take steps forward to create a new path, to put something new in order. And that's going to be a big vibration part of this week. Again, we are shifting away from an old while simultaneously being aware we're focusing on something new. I'm cutting out this member of my family. I'm cutting off this old relationship. I'm walking away from this toxic environment job because I know this one's going to be better. I know this direction will be better. I need something that's going to be better for me. And this is the elements of the going back to the drawing board, like I talked about. Now, going back to the drawing board means for some people, it's not all going to be this next week where you get some kind of new thing. It's going to be something that happens throughout the rest of the month. But you need a game plan, and you need time to create a game plan, and you need to connect with some new people to help you in the game plan. And that'll be parts of this week and even next week. But the energy of this week is going to have a buildup to it. And for some people, that buildup is going to have a lot of emotions, and it's going to have a lot of anxiety, and it's going to have a lot of fears. For other people, though, it's going to have a lot of emotion. It's going to have a lot of excitement, and it's going to have a lot It's going to have a lot of possibilities that start to come through in the buildup. We can feel it. We can feel that shift in the vibration. For the mutable signs, Pisces rising, Scorpio rising, Gemini rising, and Virgo rising, there can be some more difficulties to this week. But for just about everybody else, there's a lot of positivity that's going on. And again, we have a lot of things that can speak to a buildup towards an excitement, a buildup towards a possible change, but also the buildup towards that final round of loss. But that loss part can be very unexpected. All of this week, we're building up to the eclipse, the first eclipse, the full moon eclipse that's going to happen on September 17th. That's not happening this week. It's happening next week. So as we go through the motions of this week, we will feel elements of the buildup that take us into the start of eclipse season. And for us to understand where we needed to make the changes within the eclipse axis with where we're going next, we had to make space. That's the reason we clear things out. That's the reason we walk away from certain people. That's the reason we start to outgrow these situations. They start rubbing us the wrong way. It's because we have a different focus and a different element we have to move into. And for some of you, you have to just do it blindly. You have to trust that everything is going to work out well for you. I just feel good about it. I just feel like things are going to go great. Other people, again, there is that final round of outcome this week. Things that have come to light that require restructuring, refocus, repurposing, planning. It requires an active decision, a verbalized decision to come through. Now, for some people, the full decision will be this week. For other people, it's going to be next week. It's going to be a part of eclipse season. And all the Mercury retrograde was delay this inevitable outcome that was going to come through, whether you liked it or not. Roles have changed. Responsibility has changed. Some of us were not in charge of the same shit show that we used to be in charge of. We're not in those roles. We're not taking on that level of responsibility. We've identified another opportunity. We're being forced to identify another direction. We are forced to go back to the drawing board. And it's a very eclectic mix within the energy. Some will be very, very satisfied with the results that are going to come through over the course of the next 2 weeks. Some are being internalized, pulled to make these decisions, to walk away from certain situations. And you're just trying to tell yourself, I can do the best that I can. But then every little thing goes through and it hits you internally. And you're like, no, don't stay in the situation, move. And the universe starts pushing you or pulling you. A little bit of both. Push, pull, push, pull. There is new information to this week, while also still simultaneously dealing with an old situation. Some of this needs to get closed out. And it is the closeout that offers the opportunity for the new, that new path, that new direction, that new beginning. Some people you will experience closeout this week. For other people, it'll be a part of eclipse season. The human effect is, even in the buildup, we can still have the closeout. And that's why I'm saying it that way. But we have a very big shift that we're in the midst of, that we're in the start of. A lot of people, you can feel it. For some of you, it's feeling hopeful. You're feeling relieved. For others, you're feeling scared and frustrated. Both are right. There's nothing wrong with that. But we are shifting our focus right now. We're at a very different vibration than we were at the beginning of the summer. And for a lot of people, where we go next is going to have levels of relief. Might not all come through this week. For other people, it's not going to be relief. It's going to be frustration. You're going to feel like something has been very, very unfair. And it's going to be hard for you to take that step back to the drawing board, but it's a necessary step that you're going to have to take. Because again, the entirety of right now is a mix of understanding we are walking away from something from the past while also shifting our focus into something that is new. And how that is unfolding for everyone is going to be different for everyone, big and small. Okay. Let's get into the week. Let's get into Monday. Monday. Where's that button at? Where's my share button? I've lost my button. There it is. Okay. Whoop. Yeah, that took longer than I expected. I apologize. All right. We're getting into Monday. Monday, September 9th. Now, at this moment, the moon is still in Scorpio. Just letting everybody know that. The reason I'm starting this at 1:30 in the morning is because what's going to happen in the hour around this. At 1:51 a.m. Central Standard Time, Mercury is going to re-enter Virgo. He is going back into this area. The last time Mercury was in Virgo, again, was that latter area of July, that first week and a half of August. And there are going to be things from that time frame, people that we met, negotiations that were being had, topics that were going on, that they didn't really go anywhere. And I said before, if you have some big grand idea of something that you want to do, but you're not ready to do it, put it on the back burner and pick it back up in September. This is where we're picking a lot of those things back up, guys. If you haven't already, because some of you already have, little by little, you've picked up a couple things, but now you're really going to be able to refocus that energy. And again, Mercury is going to go back into Virgo at 1:51 a.m. So I bumped this to 2:30, and now you can see Mercury is in Virgo, the arrival of something new. Okay. Now, as soon as Mercury goes into Virgo, it also reactivates the sextile between it and Mars. Now, please notice I said reactivates. These two planets have already had sextiles multiple times, one during the Mercury retrograde, and the one before that was the first full moon in Capricorn that goes all the way back to June 21st. So things that we've been dealing with for quite a while are now hitting a final layer, a final round. And we can have some outcomes, but we can also have the ability to finally implement a new idea that we didn't previously have the ability to implement. And this is good mental energy for a lot of people this week. This will not go exact for a couple of days, but since it is already activated, I want people to be aware of this. If we have an idea, a motivation, a drive, a place that we're going to stick our focus, that we're feeling called to stick our focus, there's a reason for that. Listen to your intuition. Okay, moving along. In the early morning hours between 5:30 and 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon in Scorpio is going to hit the opposition to Uranus. You can see that right here. Now, this has another round of that unexpected energy. Over the weekend, we had that final square between Uranus and Mercury. And that really went the most exact on Friday. So there was that final round of expect the unexpected. And for a lot of people, that final round of expect the unexpected had a liberation to it. It had a freeing to it. Some people got terminated. Some people got fired. Some people completed something. Some people thought they were rounding back to something, but then they didn't have the same level of support. And now it requires a different idea. It requires a different plan. When we go into parts of Monday morning, you need to expect the unexpected. And it's going to be, again, a part of a new plan, a new idea, a new trajectory, a new delegation, a new role. The moon's opposition to Uranus can be like an email first thing in the morning asking to have a 9 a.m. appointment with the boss that you didn't think was going to happen. Like, oh, crap, now I'm in trouble. Why am I in trouble? You go in there, you're not in trouble. It's something else. We need to have a game plan meeting. We need to have something going on. You can have some kind of expected request to do something different, to take on something new. Please note how I keep saying the something new, because that's not going to change. All right, it's a busy morning whenever it comes to Monday morning, so I'm bumping this between 9 and 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. The moon is going to make a trine. Trines are triangles, water to water, flow to flow, to Neptune. Neptune is retrograde, so the moon and Neptune are moving towards one another. I have this impression this other side is confused. I thought so-and-so was taking care of it. Didn't we give them this job like 6 months ago? Yeah, well, so-and-so didn't work out. Oh, so I got to do it, but I didn't do it before. Like, what? And we have elements that speak to confusion. We can also have something that's coming through that can speak to symptoms. A lot of people, you've been dealing with the health stuff. And now that Mercury is going to go back into Virgo, we've been having issues towards the body and those intestines. We can be having another conversation right here where we start to talk about symptoms and the effects of something and how we don't want that same effect happening. And that can be in the big picture sense of like business stuff. Like, look, I didn't like the way they were doing it. I'm not going to allow for that to be the behavior in the office. I don't want that energy. We're going to do something different. And there's an awareness of the something different. We can be talking about the effects of something. We can be talking about somebody's lies, somebody's fraud, somebody's bullshit, somebody's deception, but we can also be talking about something that has being met with utter confusion with the Neptune vibration right here. And considering the other two planets involved, some people are going to be met with confusion. I didn't know that there was a problem. I had no idea. And that's fair. You don't always know when there's going to be a problem. Okay. The other thing that starts to happen between 11:30 and 1:30 p.m., so I'm just going to bump this another hour, is the moon in Scorpio is going to start a sextile to Pluto. So it's still within the opposition range of Uranus. It's still in the trine range of Neptune, and it's in the sextile range of Pluto. We have, again, these elements of expect the unexpected, past unexpected things coming back through, the past thing that we thought was worked out coming back unexpectedly, hitting us into a port of confusion, not understanding certain things, having another person that they don't understand what's going on and help me make sense of this. And then also being able to recognize elements of fear, elements of a power struggle, where something wasn't working before, and how we make corrective actions. Are these big in the moment? Not necessarily. It can be the most mundane thing of like, okay, well, that doesn't work. We need to get a new piece of equipment. Well, why does it not work? I don't know. Maybe we can fix it. Maybe we can't. We need to address where we're having a struggle whenever it comes to the sextile with Pluto. Okay. A lot of people, you're going into the office on Monday morning and you're getting the carryover effect of something that happened last week, and you're becoming aware of something that was a long time coming, but there's a new part of the vibration whenever it comes to Monday morning. So if you have some of those lingering things that haven't been fully taken care of since, June, July, or the first part of August, they're going to start getting taken care of now that Mercury is in Virgo. Speaking of that, we're going to bump this a few more hours. At 12:26 p.m. Central Standard Time, so an hour after this, boom, the moon goes into Sagittarius. And as soon as the moon goes into Sagittarius, it enters a square from Mercury. 0 degrees square. We're at the start of something. All of the unexpected things throughout the morning, the unexpected phone calls, the unexpected appointments, the unexpected meetings, the unexpected changes. A lot of people, that unexpected change was a carryover from the previous week. That, for a lot of people, that's going to be the human effect. But it also makes us aware of something else that we need to start: a shift in the delegation, a shift in the vibration, a shift in the ideas. This is something that is starting with this square, and it's a 0 degree square. Mercury's in the higher authority. Mercury has been here before. We're picking back up on something while also challenging what we previously knew and giving direction, giving an idea, giving purpose with that square to the moon. And this is all done by the middle of the day. So with the Mercury moon square, these two actually stay in a square for about 2.5 hours. So we're going to feel it the most exact between 12:30 and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. So be aware of something new that comes through, new appointments, new person. You turn the corner and you're having a new conversation, or you're running back into somebody from the past, given the Mercury element, but they're finally able to move forward with something that they couldn't connect with before, they couldn't agree to before. So be aware of that part. Okay, moving along. After these early morning, overnight hours into the lunchtime time frame, after all these transits are done, there are no more direct transits to Monday. So I feel like a lot of people are going to be really busy during the day on Monday, dealing with things, taking care of things, handling business, whatever you're having to focus on, but not so much the evening time. Okay. Now we're going to get into Tuesday. We're going to get into the 10th. And the thing about Tuesday is there's not a whole lot going on. Mars and Mercury are still building their sextile, but it's not exact. So again, we have that element of speaking to, we have this fresh idea that we're pushing, or we're pulling in some type of result, we're pulling in some type of new vibration, we're setting something in motion, and it's a long time coming, but at the same time, like, we don't have a whole lot going on. So we do still have a continuous flow of energy whenever it comes to Mars and Mercury, but it's not going exact on the 10th, and I want to be clear about that. And whenever it comes to the 10th, we don't have a whole lot going on until we get into the evening time. So I'm going to go ahead and get this to 6:30 p.m. And that's going to take care of both of the other two transits, because we got two things going on. Between 4:30 and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Venus, 15 degrees, is making a little sextile to the moon. Venus is in the higher authority. Venus is in Libra. Venus is in her sign. We're talking about the appearance of something. We're talking about how the outcome of something has come out, how something is making us feel. We're talking about the taste of something, but it's like we're describing the taste of something to another person, potentially. We're also talking about how something has made us recently feel, or how something has recently appeared. And given the extra element to what is going on, there is something extra in this energy. When the moon is in the sextile to Venus, it's also entering a square to Saturn. Not only that, Venus and Saturn are what's called a quincunx. They're not seeing eye to eye. And this can be one of those rare moments where we're talking about the appearance of something with somebody, and then they say, oh yeah, well, grandpa didn't like it. Oh, you repainted this old dresser? I think it's beautiful. Yeah, I do too. And I spent a lot of time on it, but grandpa didn't like it. Not seeing eye to eye. Venus in the quincunx to Saturn, letting somebody else know that they haven't shown this to another person, or they know this other person isn't going to like it, that they're not on board with it, that they're not going to be doing something. It's like, well, you don't necessarily know that. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe he just doesn't like the color. Maybe he thinks that there needs to be something more. Maybe you should switch out the hardware. Like, what do you mean grandpa doesn't like it? Well, I just think that he's not going to like it. Well, we can't necessarily, fall onto that all the time. Now, the moon being in the square to Saturn can also have this influence here of, I heard so-and-so repainted that old dresser that nobody's messed with in 10 years. Why are you mad about it? Well, that was my great granddaddy's. You're emotionally attached to an old way of doing things. And that's what this feels like. Not wanting to see eye to eye with another person, not want to be completely on board with a new way of doing things. No. We're still stuck in the past in a lot of ways, Saturn being retrograde. And there can be a challenge or a questioning as to like what needs to happen to overcome certain humps whenever the moon hits the square to Saturn. And I wouldn't normally be like this whenever it comes to that moon square Saturn, but given that Venus quincunx, I do feel like a lot of people can be in the situation where they're the third person in another situation. They're aware of this person went this way and this person went another way, and these two aren't talking anymore. They're not vibrating anymore. They're not in the same direction. So-and-so's not in charge of the same things. It's this type of situation. Beyond this right here, and again, Venus is sextile to the moon. We're going to feel it between 4:30 and 7 p.m. The moon square to Saturn, we feel between 6 and 8 p.m. So this is a good part of the afternoon. Some people, you're going to be telling grandpa that we're going to go somewhere. Well, I don't really want to go to that, doctor. Well, you don't really get a choice, grandpa. You're going tomorrow. We've got an appointment tomorrow. We've got to do this thing tomorrow. And he's just adamantly against it. Saturn is the rules. It is the elder. It is the boss. It is the CEO. It is the person that is usually is in charge of everything and everyone else. But if you're suddenly not in charge of something, or you don't feel like you're in control of something, then this can be a big part of that energy. Sometimes this is going to be a boss going like, I don't want to give responsibility to them. I don't think that they can handle it. It's like, well, you don't really know. You don't know if they can handle it yet or not. You haven't given them a chance. And sometimes you're sitting there and you're talking to somebody that they need to give another person a chance, give another person a try, whether they like it or not. It's like you ain't got much of a choice. And that can be a big reflection within the energy. we have to go back to the drawing board for a reason. That means we have to revise who we trust, what we were working on, what we've been planning. Be aware of that. Is this a huge energy in this moment? Not necessarily. It can lead to delegation later on. But be aware of this, because if you find yourself being stuck in the middle, or you find yourself being very resistant, you either are the Venus person or you're the Saturn person, just to be clear. Okay, moving along. Moving along. We're going to get into Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, it is the first quarter moon. So we're going to start with that right there. And the moon is going to be in Sagittarius most of the day. But we have some things that are going to start right after midnight. So that means the human effect is what I start to describe right here that's happening right after midnight. For some people, that human effect is playing out late Tuesday evening. For other people, it's going to be a part of Wednesday morning. Now, if you are having a hard time sleeping, that would not surprise me, because whenever we start to have transits happening in the middle of the night, our mind becomes very overactive, and we can start to play certain things out in our mindset. We have different ideas. We can start to predicate some future conversations that we can anticipate based off of this right here. So we're having a very active overnight. First things first, the sun is going to square the moon between midnight and 2 a.m. So we got our quarter moon. We're just past it at this 1:30 mark. Here's the sun 19 degrees in 1 minute. Here's the moon at 19 degrees in 13 minutes. Now, in this same time span, the moon is also going to hit this opposition to Jupiter. We feel this the most exact between 2 and 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. Jupiter and the sun are building into a square that hasn't gone exact yet. It goes exact later, the next day, just to be clear. But there can be some kind of part of the conversation that, again, once we get indicative of something, it's like we're bringing a third party in. Now, for some people, that is going to have a challenge to it, because Jupiter square the sun, there can be a very big challenge of, like, if you're going to move ahead in this direction, I can't tell you how long you're going to be able to do it in a healthy way, thinking Jupiter being the doctor, the guru, the teacher. If you're going to go in that direction, I don't necessarily know that I can support you for a long period of time. Something is probably going to change. You could have some questioning and some challenges, and there can be some precursor things. Again, human effect, either late Tuesday night or anytime on Wednesday, letting you know exactly what this Jupiter Sun square is going to be about. So whenever we get closer to that exact, I'll go over that a little bit more, but we can have some pre-shadow information here. And this is going to be a part of the buildup. Why do I say that? Because the moon is in Jupiter's sign. The full moon that's going to happen on the 17th is going to be in Jupiter's sign. So that Jupiter Sun square in Mercury signs can lead to new information and new changes that are going to be very, very big. And we can have some preemptive precursor information that starts to come through on Wednesday. Okay. Oh, the exact quincunx between Venus and Saturn actually plays out on this day too. It happens at around 5:50 a.m. So be aware of that too. Like there's a imprint to this day that seems very important, even though in the moment it might not feel important. It's like we make some very important decisions that will lead to future events, or we have some very big encounters around this time that are going to have a bigger imprint towards later. So I'm just making people aware of those types of situations. Okay. Moving along. After that T square between the sun and Jupiter, things are just, again, building up. Mercury and Uranus, not Mercury and Uranus, Mercury and Mars, they will continue to build up all day. They actually go exact this day, but they don't go exact until like late in the evening time. The moon is going to be in Sagittarius almost all day. So we have like this bouncing energy, and a lot of us are going to have a lot more energy. We're going to feel a lot more hopeful, a lot more capable, a lot more bouncy, so to speak, but a lot more driven and a lot more determined. There's a lot of things coming to light this week. A lot of new things. Just to be clear, we're going to get into the evening time now. We're going to get to right around 6:30, 7:30 right here. And in this time span, whenever the moon hits the square, so we have the moon 28 degrees hitting the square to Neptune, right here, there's a questioning, there's a challenging, there's some confusion. We're talking about the effects. We're talking about our spirituality. We're talking about the lies. We're calling somebody on something. And I really want to stick with that lie element for just a minute. Right as we go through this square, Mercury, right here, 7:30 on the dot, 4 degrees, 8 minutes. This is exactly where Mercury turned retrograde back at the beginning of August. This is where he was, 4 degrees, 8 minutes. Mercury is leaving shadow right as we go through that square between the moon and Neptune. For some people, there will be confusion. For some people, we will be calling them out on a lie. For some people, we're going to be telling, I know so-and-so has been lying and I can prove it. And I need people to be aware of that. For other people, we're going to be talking about the effects. We're going to be talking about the symptoms. We're going to be talking about this thing that doesn't make complete sense at the moment, but it's like we've been waiting on something to make sense for a while. And maybe it's going to start to lead to making sense finally, because again, Mercury is leaving shadow. And that means we can finally get on to some new things, not just the old stuff. And it is at this moment that we start to bridge over and finally move into something new, adding a layer to that. Mars and Mercury will hit their exact sextile at 10:32 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm bumping this to 10:30. Here's Mars, 4 degrees, 21 minutes. Here's Mercury, 4 degrees, 20 minutes. Again, 10:32 to 11:01. These two hit their exact sextile. This will be the third one. So we finally get something to charge ahead now. We are going to finally be able to move forward with something. Actions we were wanting to take, desires that we were wanting to take earlier in the summer, but we couldn't. And I said again, at the end of July, I was telling people, like, look, if you got some great idea, put that stuff on the back burner and come back to it in September. Come back to it after the Mercury retrograde. If they are still important, if you are still invested and you still want to do it, that's when you need to pick it up. Because if you try to do it during the retrograde, you're either going to get fed up and not want to do it anymore, or it's not going to work out the way that you're thinking. And we're able to start picking back up on something. Now, again, this is the third sextile. The first one happened on June 21st. The second one happened back at the end of August. I think it was around August 26th, doing that from memory. And this is the third and final one. And both of these planets are full steam ahead. So there is direction, there is path, and there is an understanding. Considering these two go through their sextile right around the time the moon changes signs and goes into Capricorn, that happened exactly at 9:38 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's like we can finally take these responsible, tangible, productive measures forward. If you are wanting to make something happen in a productive way, if you are finally able to find that project or that place to center your energy because you've been dealing with emotions the last few days and you've needed an outlet, you finally got your gym membership, you're finally going outside into the garage, you're finally doing that thing. Are we all doing it 10:30 at night? No, but do we feel capable? Yes. And the awareness of something new. That new direction, that new path, that new drive, that new determination. It's really setting in. And for some people, there's a hopefulness there because, again, Jupiter is hitting that square to the sun. It's not exact yet. It's about to go exact. And it's something that we're building with all day. And it's taking us into Thursday. So let's go ahead and get into the 12th. Now, the majority of the transits that are going to happen at the 12th, they're going to happen all around the same time, real early in the morning. So when it comes to September 12th, expect the most vibration of the day, the most of the situations, the most things that are going to pop up and happen. Planned or unplanned, they're going to happen early in the day. So all of these are happening very, very simultaneously. One, between 5 and 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to hit the opposition to Mars simultaneously. At 5:47 a.m. Central Standard Time, Jupiter will enter its exact square to the sun. So you can see we're a minute off here at the 6:30 mark. Jupiter's at 20 degrees, 10 minutes. The sun is at 20 degrees, 11 minutes. Close enough for government work. We're fine. The other thing that is starting to happen right around here is between 5:30 and 8 a.m., the moon is also hitting that trine to Mercury. Earth to earth, production to production, cares and desires, things that we want to consider, things that we feel compelled to do. Mars in Cancer hitting that opposition to the moon. The moon wants to be productive. The moon is also hosting that Mars. And that's the important part, because that means all the actions and the reactions that we're doing, they're very much also tied to those moon transits. And the moon in Capricorn is going to have a whole different level of stability in this moment. And some of us need stability, but we also need to understand the responsibility changes and the role changes. And I'm again reminding everybody, we're in the buildup towards a full moon that's not even happening this week. So some of what's being spoken about here, reflected upon here, grounded upon here, can have levels of disruption, but it is necessary disruption. It's necessary disruption because it's pivotal disruption. There's a focus of something new, a pattern that we're picking up, details that we're finally picking up on, things that we had to put it to the wayside before because we had all of these little hiccups. Those hiccups were necessary too. They were a part of that resolve. They were a part of that unfinished business from before. But now that you have a better understanding of that unfinished business, we're able to take certain actions and react in a new way to take something forward. And that's important. Mars in that sextile to Mercury is still very, very dominant. It's a very dominant part of the week. The Jupiter Sun square finally going exact. We've been building to this all week. Now, Jupiter, again, it is the doctor, the guru, the teacher. It is in the higher authority squaring that sun. Some people are going to be talking to the doctor, and the doctor is going to be like, if you don't make this change in your diet, you're going to be going to treatments for this within 5 years. You're going to be dead within this amount of years. I said dead. I hope that doesn't get me in trouble with the YouTube Spotify gods. You're going to be having to do this differently. There is a direction. There is a challenge. And for some people, again, it's going to be disruptive, and it's going to stir up disruptive energy here. For some people, it's going to be the guidance of what needs to be done with the elder, especially for those that are taking care of their parents or having to deal with the responsibility around the elder. We can be having to have these very hard conversations in regards to treatment, care, desires in this regard of where we're shifting our focus moving forward. There is outcomes, there are verdicts that have led to these moments. Again, we've had an idea that some things were coming for quite some time. The writing was on the wall. It is just whether we chose to listen or not, to tune into it or not. Oh, again, September 12th, all of the major transits are happening right smack dab in the same time span. So when it comes to Thursday the 12th, for again, between 5 and 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, so adjust for your time zone, there will be some hyperized energy that is hitting all in the first part of the day, or based off of your time zone, like whatever that's reflecting in. Yet 3 things happening simultaneously. And for some people, it will be bad news. For some people, it will be the fire that's being lit under your ass. For some people, it's going to be the awareness that if you don't make this change, you're going to regret it later. And if we have anything tied to the doctor, the guru, the teacher, do not be surprised. Okay. Moving along. Again, the moon's going to be in Capricorn all day. So we're going to be productive. We're going to feel grounded. We're going to be dealing with the responsibility changes. We're going to be taking on different things in regards to the elder, in regards to the boss, in regards to the laws and whatever else we're having to deal with in that regard, regulation, yada, yada, yada. And we're going to get now into the 13th. So we're getting into Friday. Friday seems pretty good. The moon will be in Capricorn all day. Enjoy that while we've got it. right after midnight, between 1 and 3 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to make a sextile to Saturn. Now, the moon is in Saturn's sign. So we can be looking at the reflection of a responsibility, of the past, of time, making sure we have something lined out for another person, and maybe not in the moment giving it to them, but making sure we have a few things put together, put into their right place, not a big thing right here. Certain interactions with grandpa, late night interactions with grandma, with your mom, with your dad, again, that elder. Sometimes you're the auntie talking to your niece or your nephew. You're the uncle being that Saturnian elder one at that moment. This is happening real late in the hour, so I don't expect this to be real heavy for a lot of people, but I do feel like there's a level of reflection in it. The moon is in Saturn's sign, moving towards Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces. It's in that water sign, retrograde, moving towards the moon. There is something about reflection here. Reflection, acceptance, a lot of energy around these lines. Now, Jupiter's square to the moon, that's still active. Mercury's sextile from Mars, that's still active. And again, the first Mercury, I don't want to keep talking about Uranus. The first Mercury Mars sextile happened during a full moon in Capricorn. So we can also be dealing with things that go back to earlier parts of the summer and what we got wrong versus what we got right. And again, some of the things that happened earlier in the summer can be a part of the reflection in the roles, in the responsibility, in the outcome, in this mindset conversation, whatever we're having in this late hour on the 13th. Okay. The human effect is that can happen late on Thursday. I just show when the exact transit is. It can be a big part of what we start to deal with whenever we go through the day on Friday. Speaking of that, let's get a little bit more into the morning time. Between 5 and 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, Venus is going to square the moon. Venus is in Libra. She's in her own home sign. We're wanting to look at the appearance of something. We are wanting to look at how something is making us feel. Again, something about our balance. We can have some kind of bright idea of something that we can push towards another person, to ask for the aid of another person. Can you help me out? Can I borrow your pickup? Can you drive me somewhere? I need to do this one thing. I need to take care of this other thing. For some of us, this has to do with balance. For some of this is going to have to do with legal things because Venus is in Libra. For some of us, it's going to have to do with the appearance and the wellness of something. But needing another person's assistance, needing them to partake, needing them to do it, needing to delegate, with Venus being in that higher authority. Hey, whenever you're out and about, can you pick up that grocery order for me on your way home? Oh yeah, that's not a problem. Doesn't have to be heavy energy. This doesn't feel like heavy energy. It's more task related in a lot of ways. Can you run me to the store? Can you take me to the salon? Can you pick up that grocery order? Can you go to this place? There is direction. There is responsibility. There is necessity. There is need. It does not feel like heavy energy. It just kind of feels like another part of the day. Okay. Moving along, we get closer to lunchtime. Between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, the sun at 21 degrees is going to hit that sextile to the moon. Now, the thing about whenever the sun hits, not sextile, the trines are triangles, earth to earth. When the trine happens, the moon will go through a quincunx with Jupiter. So it's like you're going to be telling somebody else what has changed, but they're initially unresponsive, unable to understand, unable to process, or not entirely in agreement with what got said by the doctor, by the guru, by the teacher. Well, I know they said I need to do treatments or I need to quit drinking soda, but I ain't going to give up soda. Listen here, Grandpa. You can give up soda for a week. I'm not giving up my soda. If you think I'm playing, that would have been my grandma. You took away her Pepsi. She'd have been like, no. I'm not kidding. There are some times that whenever people are older, like, look, I've lived my life. I'm going to eat whatever I want, drink whatever I want, smoke whatever I want. I'm going to do whatever I want because I've already done everything that I wanted to do. So I'm just going to enjoy myself now. Well, the doctor says that that's not good for you. I don't care what the doctor said. The sun is in the trine to the moon, trying to make somebody understand, trying to make somebody adhere to some type of activity. But with the moon going through that quincunx with Jupiter, I don't believe them. I don't want to do it. I don't know. No, no, no. A little resistant. Do they understand? Yes. Are they receptive to you? Yes, in the sense of like, yes, I'm hearing you, but no, I don't want to do it. I don't care what the doctor said. I don't care what they said. I don't want to go over there. I don't believe him. Let's get a second opinion. And when that moon going through the quincunx with Jupiter while it's in the trine from the sun feels like, yes, we have an understanding. Yes, there's something tangible there, but no, I don't want to believe it because I want to be stubborn. Okay. Moving along. In the evening time, between 10 p.m. and midnight, so I'm bumping this to like 11:30, the moon is going to hit the trine to Uranus. Now, this is going to make the overnight hours of Friday into Saturday real interesting for a lot of people. Because if you try to go out and about, like you get that unexpected call Friday around 7 p.m. Hey, we're going to go to the bar. We're going to go over here. You want to hang out? You want to go get some tacos? You want to do this? Wasn't a part of the plan. So you get this unexpected call. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, that sounds fun. I'm not doing anything. I'll give it a shot. I'll try. I'll hang out. Let's go. It's cool. You can have something unexpected that has a hit after effect after you do it. So again, 10 p.m. to midnight, Uranus trine the moon. This is when we feel this one the most exact. But as we go into the overnight hours into the 14th, we got a couple more things going on. So I don't really like Friday night for going out unless you have a good solid plan of like, okay, I'm Ubering home. I'm going with people that I know. I'm not going to be drinking and driving. I'm not going to be doing these things. Yes, some element can be expect the unexpected, but you can quickly put some fail safes in mind for yourself, just to be clear about that. Now, the moon will hit a sextile between midnight and 2 a.m. on the 14th. So again, this is a carryover energy. For some people, this is all late night Friday. For other people, based off of the exact transit, it's happening on the Saturday morning aspect. So I'm making everybody aware, like Friday night, maybe not go out and do crazy things, because I feel like some people can get lost in this energy very quickly. The moon is going to hit that sextile to Neptune. There are some people that they want to drink away their sorrows. They want to smoke away their sorrows. They want to numb themselves, and they will do anything by God to do it. That is another reason why I don't like this. With Mars being in Cancer and so many people needing to find a way to get their emotions to come out, sometimes the only way they can get their emotions to come out is if they too many of these. So I don't like this for going out on Friday night. Are people still going to do it? Absolutely. Does that mean you can have one or two people in your group that are a little too loose for comfort with their drinks? Yes, and pay attention to those people because they need some additional care. Moving along. Between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I'm just moving this an hour to 1:30, the moon is going to make a conjunction to Pluto. Again, I don't like this energy for people that are going out because I feel like this unexpected plan can turn into like a very bad rom-com sitcom situation of event afterwards, where you end up in somebody else's mess, where you end up cleaning up somebody that wasn't even a part of the original crew. You end up in situations that you needed nothing to do with, but yet they have fell onto your lap. I didn't even know y'all were dating. Now you're broke up and you're in this bathroom crying. And I just need to go to the bathroom. Going to a house party type of thing. When the moon hits this conjunction to Pluto, this can be very emotionally triggering for a lot of people. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I don't feel like there's been a whole lot of things that scream emotional triggering throughout the week, but I do feel like there can be one here because this is the first conjunction of the moon and Pluto since Pluto's went back into Capricorn. It's the very first one. And if you just lost your job, if you're trying to emotionally process some part of the week, if you are trying to numb yourself and get over everything from the week because it hasn't been a good week for you, this right here can confirm a lot of fears. It can shake people to their core. And it's like whatever we confirm here, we have to work through afterwards. So sometimes you don't get a vote. And if you want to go out on Friday night, I'm not opposed to it. Go to the movies. Don't go drinking. Just trust me on that. This is a timeline where you're going to have a lot of mental downloads. And for some people, the downloads that come through Friday night into Saturday can have a whole lot of fear to it. The moon's conjunction to Pluto can have fear. It can awaken fears. And I'm not sugarcoating that for anybody. Okay. At 2:54 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon's going to go into Aquarius. I'm going to bump this by 2 hours. We got it at 3:30, and now the moon is in Aquarius. I thought I had this great job lined out. I thought all my dreams were going to come true, and I thought I was going to be my person. I thought it was all going to be great. Everything was going so great back in April, and I don't know what happened. And the moon goes into Aquarius. It wasn't the right fit. Sometimes you have to be there for that person to help them understand it's a temporary setback. It's not the end of the world. Some people need to hear you say it's not the end of the world, and they need help being pulled out of their funk, knowing that it's not the end of the world. For other people, they can do very stupid shit, and I'm not sugarcoating that. And then the result of the stupid shit suddenly becomes an awareness once the moon goes into Aquarius. For some people, this is going to be a great energy for coaching and helping people find a brighter side and helping people take that step back and do whatever recourse they need to. For other people, though, it's going to confirm, and the confirmation is going to bring more to the surface that we didn't know before. But once the moon goes into Aquarius, this is going to set the stage for a lot of next weekend. There is an awareness of something by the time we get to the weekend, whether it's from the earlier events in the week or if it's from that final round of emotional purge that happens on Friday evening. Even though we didn't have a week that led to emotional purge, there's going to be some people that it's going to hit. It's like, and they have to, again, numb their senses. But it's like once that happens and they and word vomit, whatever it is, they can't take back what you just heard. Now you know it. And there will be elements that speak to what we know now, what we're doing now. And there are some big picture ideas and items that are going to set into our mind as the moon goes through Aquarius. Because again, we're building up to a full moon that's not even perfecting this week. Okay. After the moon goes into Aquarius, again, that happens at 2:54 a.m. Central Standard Time. And all day on Saturday, there's not a whole lot going on. However, there can be parts of us that are a little bit frustrated with the activities of the night before. So I want to bring up the fact that the moon will go through two quincunxes throughout the day. Between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m., I said that backwards, the moon will go through a quincunx with Mars. Between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m., the moon will go through a quincunx with Mercury. So you can see that here. Here's the moon. Here's Mercury. Now, why am I bringing all of that up? Mercury and Mars are separating from their sextile, but all week, like they were putting something into motion. We have a new idea, some new activity, picking back up on an old activity that we're finally going to be able to take forward. And it's like once we learn that this is going to happen, that this is going on, that this is the result of something, we can initially be very against it. Be like, I don't want anything to do with that. And when the moon goes through those quincunxes, there can be interactions where we're doing exactly that. We're telling somebody, I'm not with this. I'm not okay with this. You were cheating on your girl all summer. I don't support that shit. Stay away from me. Nah, don't bring me into your drama. That's your mess. You cleaned it up. Oh, you've been doing this all summer. This got revealed about you all summer. I knew something was shady about you. I knew I didn't trust you. I knew I didn't believe this. I knew I wasn't about this. And there can be a part of Saturday where we're very stuck and stubborn and resistant to other people, to other ideas. I don't want to go out. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to know your drama. I don't want to. Be aware of that. For some people, you just don't know, you don't understand it, and you'll be like, oh, well, that's great for you, babe, but not my thing. I don't like cosplay. I don't do that. I'm not a big anime watcher. I'm not a big this. I'm not a big that. I don't know. That's you. You do you. And I don't have to be there. I can support you from a distance. But usually quincunxes means we're not seeing eye to eye. So it's like we're not in agreement with. And more people I feel like are going to be very mentally aware that they are against another person in another situation, that they're no longer seeing eye to eye based off of the outcome, the results, the news, the communication that came through in the last week. Okay. Last week, last 2 weeks. Okay, moving along. After those quincunxes, again, there's no direct transit. All the direct transits happen in the overnight hours going into Saturday. Everything else is kind of resistant, not being in tune with. And then we're going to get into Sunday. The moon is going to be in Aquarius all day. Start with that. Right after midnight, Jupiter is going to enter its exact trine with Venus. So you can see that here. Here's Jupiter, 20 degrees, 20 minutes. Here's Venus, 20 degrees, 23 minutes. We can see that right here. Air to air. Jupiter's not in the best place in Gemini, but Venus is very well placed in Libra. So based off of the decision, some type of ill-conceived information, some type of change in the information that has recently been had, there is something that is going to impact Venus and her wellness and her ideas, and it is going to be a big part of what impacts Venus in the days ahead. In this moment, this feels hopeful, this feels promising, this can be a good energy for a lot of people, this can be a luck energy for a lot of people. However, given the way the rest of the weekend has gone and the way the rest of the energy is going, I feel like it's a moment of awareness that's going to take us into something moving forward that we're going to be dealing with even more in the days ahead. And considering Jupiter and Venus are the rulers of the upcoming eclipse axis and the upcoming eclipse season, we have this other part of the energy that speaks to what's about to happen once we go into the eclipses, and that again starts September 17th. We're 2 days away from it, right here. So be aware of that. Imprinting and stamping some things of where we're going to start and have changes, where we're making space and allowing new things to come through. And with the moon being in Aquarius, there's a long-term effect to that. And some of us, whatever is coming to light has to do with the recent decisions of this week and how they're pressing us to change something moving forward. Okay. The trine between Jupiter and Venus can be felt between 12:22 and 12:41 a.m. Central Standard Time. So that's why I got this at 12:30. As the day progresses and that moon is in Aquarius, the moon is going to join the fun. So I'm going to get this to about 2:30. That's going to be about the closest. Between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m., the moon is going to hit the trine to Jupiter. Between 1 p.m. and 3:30, so I guess 1:30 is about the closest. So between 1 p.m. and 3:30 p.m., Venus is also going to hit the trine to the moon. So we have this grand trine energy, air, air, air. Quality, 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 ideas, 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 communication, 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 outcomes, conversations. There's a lot of busyness in the air, beneficial busyness. And again, the next two eclipses are ruled by Jupiter and Venus. So there's something very much going on in the energy that's speaking to what's about to change and adapt and come through in the eclipse axis, in the eclipse season, which is starting in 2 freaking days. 2 days from here. This is not combative energy. This is not argumentative energy. This is helpful energy. This is structured energy. This is a flowing energy. This is a vibration shift. A lot of good conversations, a lot of good energy. I like this here. So be aware of that whenever we start to have some of these events throughout the week, as a lot of them are starting to show you, again, ideas of what's going to be going on in eclipse season. So again, going back, the Sun-Jupiter square is exact on the 12th. the Venus, Jupiter, Moon Grand Trine. That's going to be on Sunday, the 15th. Eclipse season starts the 17th. All of this week has elements and buildup as to where we're going to be making a very big change. But for some people, that change has an unexpected vibration. It was not a part of the plan. But we needed the things that came to light, that got revealed throughout the month of August, most predominantly, to be better able to handle that unexpected change. It revealed the things that are going to lead to that. Because next week we go into eclipse season. And that eclipse that we're going to have on the 17th, it's an out of sign eclipse, an eclipse that's going to happen before the node changes signs. It is shaking up an area of our life. It is making space in an area of our life that is not completely ready yet. It's not completely active. But little by little, we've been trying to make certain things active, and we're going to reach a peak once we get into that. A peak of change. That change will be met unexpectedly by a lot of people because they're going to be confused. Like, what do you mean? You've been in the same job for 15 years. What do you mean you're going into business for yourself and you're not even going to be doing the same thing anymore? I'm confused. Well, that's okay, baby. It's not yours to understand. It's mine to understand. You can be confused. Some people will be blindsided. Some people will be making decisions this week that are going to lead to the change in eclipse, in the eclipse season. And other people will be blindsided, and you will be making these ideas what will feel like on a whim, but really the energy has moved you towards it. It's shifted your focus in this direction. It has told you it is time to do this, to go in this area, to look in this direction, to release that old thing, to make space for something new. We have an idea. We have a focus that's coming through. And all of this week, we'll be getting more and more aware of what that focus is going to be. We're simultaneously dealing with something from the past, letting something go while focusing on something new. And if that's not going back to the drawing board, I don't know what is. But a lot of the energy this week is a lot more productive than last week. Last week had a lot more closeout to it. This week has a lot more chances of moving ahead and charging ahead. But we still have some unfinished business until Mercury leaves shadow. And that's going to happen midweek. And then everything after that, it's full steam ahead. It's new ideas, new trajectory, new possibilities, new prosperity, new abundance, new. We're moving towards something new. And that'll be a good thing. Be aware of that. Be aware of the changes that are unfolding. Because they have a big possibility for a lot of people. For other people, it's all mundane. It's not going to feel big in the moment. And I realize that. Sometimes you don't realize you're making a very important decision when you're making a decision. You're just agreeing, yeah, I'll go. Yeah, I'll work with you. Yeah, I'll help you out for a little bit. Not knowing that you're unconsciously entering a partnership that's going to last for decades. We're in that moment, these small moments of agreement, of taking on a new challenge, of going into a new direction, of new possibilities and new commitments that are starting to come together. We're starting to feel hope and promise. We're starting to see the potential of productivity in something. But we don't know exactly what it is yet. It's not completely clear, but things will start to become more clear as we charge ahead, as we move forward, as we go into eclipse season. And that's a good thing. It's a very good thing for a lot of people. Okay. Hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns, hop onto the spiritual Zooms. Like I said, I host them every single week on Wednesday evenings. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I don't have a whole lot of, I don't want to say negative. I don't have a whole lot extra to add. I just feel like there's a lot of new to this week. And we're not going to fully understand a lot of it until we get through the moments of this week. And I'm excited for that. Anytime I can start to see that we have new elements coming through, new possibilities, new connections, new, I'm all about it. Let's get the new. All right. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.